10 most famous paintings of the Renaissance. (1) The Birth of Venus artist, Sandro Botticelli, year 1486. One of the most iconic paintings in the history of world art, and a significant cultural landmark, is Sandro Botticelli's masterpiece, The Birth of Venus. This painting portrays the nude goddess Venus, standing on a large seashell at the shore of the island of Cyprus, a fully grown woman, arriving on the coast. This imagery symbolizes the rebirth of civilization, a new hope, and the changes in politics, society, and culture following the chaos of the Middle Ages. This masterpiece is often discussed alongside Botticelli's Prima Vera, because both are considered symbols of the Italian Renaissance and share certain similarities. It is believed that both artworks were commissioned for the same member of the Medici family. Over the centuries, scholars have conducted numerous analyses and comparisons of these two artworks to determine the influence of ancient artists as well as the context of festivals and Renaissance Neoplatonism. The Birth of Venus focuses on stimulating the senses. The central figure is the goddess Venus standing on a giant seashell on the seashore. The figures of the wind god Zephyr and the nymph Chloris are in the bottom left corner of the painting, and on the right side. A female figure in a floral dress holds a cloak for Venus as she approaches the shore. She represents the embodiment of the Greek goddess of spring, due to the floral patterns on her dress. There are various interpretations of the figure of Venus. Although her pose is classical and reminiscent of ancient Greek and Roman sculptures, the depiction of Venus in the painting is heavily influenced by Gothic art. Art historian Kenneth Clark noted the rhythmic lines and the soft, curving body, resembling Gothic ivory carvings. The painting portrays a scene of imagination, a mythological story rather than a realistic scene, so any non-realistic details are justified. When it comes to the material surface of such a large painting, it's important to note that it was painted on canvas, a relatively new technique at the time, mostly used for appropriate genre paintings in rural villas. They were simpler than the paintings in palaces and mansions in the city, as these paintings were meant for the affluent to enjoy and admire. The painting consists of two large canvas panels, sewn together before being covered with a sky blue gesso background. Sandro Botticelli was obsessed with the goddess Venus. He depicted this in another painting titled Calumny of Apelles, completed in 1494–95, where a character resembling Venus in a similar stance represents truth. Consequently, the Birth of Venus became not only a significant milestone for the artist, but also an artistic reference for many generations of artists that followed. Over the centuries, its popularity has grown, especially with the development of mass culture in the 20th century, when Botticelli's Venus became one of the greatest masterpieces ever created. The painting's public influence is evident through Adobe Systems' use of various edits of the painting in the Adobe Illustrator application. From around 1987 to the early 2000s, there have been various reinterpretations of the painting. From the New Yorker magazine cover to a scene in the James Bond film Dr. No in 1962 with Ursula Andress emerging from the water, to Andy Warhol's silk screens in 1984, and most recently, photographer David LaChapelle's Rebirth of Venus in 2009, and Lady Gaga's music video Applause in 2013. The figure of Venus in popular culture clearly. This masterpiece completely transformed the way we perceive the female form, honoring its sacred beauty, sensuality, and elegance. Therefore, it's no wonder that the Birth of Venus has become one of the cornerstones of Western art history conventions and continues to be widely praised today. The art of Sandro Botticelli, 1445 to 1510 remains a standard of Florentine achievements in the Quattrocento period. The painter of classical Orphic allegories such as Prima Vera, 1482, Venus and Mars, 1483, and The Birth of Venus, 1485. Botticelli was later hailed as a star by the Victorian Preraphaelites after centuries of neglect. The first monograph on Botticelli was published in 1893, and from 1900 to 1920, he became the subject of more books than any other painter today. His name is synonymous with the aspiration and refinement of Renaissance painting at its peak. Scholars have proposed many interpretations of the painting, with the most prominent being Botticelli representing the Neoplatonic idea of sacred love, in the form of the nude Venus. Botticelli's The Birth of Venus remains one of the most precious works of the Renaissance. 2. Assumption of the Virgin, 1518, Titian. Painting Assumption of the Virgin is placed on a high altar in the Basilica di Santa Maria Gloriosa dei Frari, Titian's first exhibition hall in Venice. Titian was the city's leading painter. The painting depicts the Assumption of the Virgin, a yearly event celebrated on August 15th, commemorating the Virgin Mary's ascension to heaven, escaping the decay of the body. In the painting, the Virgin Mary is lifted into heaven by a group of cherubim while standing on a cloud. Assumption of the Virgin is considered Titian's greatest masterpiece, one of the most versatile and renowned artists in history. 3. Sistine Madana, 1512, Raphael. Painting Sistine Madana depicts Madonna holding the child Christ with St. Sixtus and St. Barbara by her side. Additionally, there are two winged cherubs below Mary, perhaps the most famous cherubs depicted in any painting. Their popularity has led to numerous legends regarding how Raphael painted them. Sistine Madana is regarded as one of the most beautiful paintings by many notable art critics, especially in Germany, where it is praised as the supreme among the world's paintings and considered divine. 4. Prima Vera, 1482, Botticelli. Painting Prima Vera, meaning spring, is sometimes referred to as the allegory of spring. There have been various interpretations of the painting, but it is generally agreed that, to some extent, it is a complex mythological allegory about the burgeoning reproductive capabilities of the world. The compelling use of colors and the various interpretations of the work have made it extremely popular, often cited as a quintessential example of the grace of early Renaissance art. 5. The Last Judgment, 1541, Michelangelo Buonarroti. Painting The Last Judgment is one of the most influential works in Western art history, painted on the walls of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. It depicts the second coming of Christ, Jesus' return to earth in the future, and the final and eternal judgment of humanity by God. Jesus is portrayed at the center of the painting, surrounded by prominent saints, while the resurrection of the dead and the damned souls being cast into hell are depicted in the lower area. 6. The Kiss of Judas, 1306, Giotto. Many art critics consider Giotto the first genius of modern painting, with some arguing that no painter surpassed him. His frescoes in the Scrovegni Chapel are among the most significant masterpieces in Western art, and the Kiss of Judas is the most famous among them. The painting captures the moment of Judas' betrayal, as he identifies Jesus to the soldiers by kissing him. Giotto skillfully captures the drama and confusion in the apprehension of Jesus, as well as the contrast between the expressions of Jesus and Judas, as they confront each other directly. 7. School of Athens, 1509, Raphael. Raphael's masterpiece, School of Athens, is one of the four main frescoes on the walls of the Stanze di Raffaello and the Vatican Palace. These four paintings represent philosophy, poetry, theology, and law, with School of Athens symbolizing philosophy. Critics argue that every great Greek philosopher can be found among the 21 figures depicted in the painting. However, except for Plato and Aristotle, placed at the center of the scene, no identities can be definitively confirmed. School of Athens is considered the epitome of the classical spirit of the High Renaissance. 8. The Last Supper 1498, Leonardo da Vinci. In The Last Supper, Leonardo masterfully depicts the confusion and bewilderment among Jesus' disciples when he announces that one of them will betray him. Leonardo's detailed knowledge of anatomy, light, botany, and geology, his interest in human emotions conveyed through expressions and gestures, and his subtle color transitions all come together to create this painting, one of the most respected and famous works of all time. 9. The Creation of Adam 1512, Michelangelo. Michelangelo's work on the Sistine Chapel ceiling is a cornerstone of the Renaissance art, and The Creation of Adam is its most famous fresco. The popularity of this painting is second only to the Mona Lisa. Along with The Last Supper, it is the most replicated religious painting of all time. The near-touching hands of God and Adam have become an icon of humanity and have been imitated and reproduced countless times. 10. Mona Lisa 1517, Leonardo da Vinci. Mona Lisa has been praised as one of the most well-known, visited, written about, sung about, and replicated works of art in the world. Its fame particularly resides in the elusive smile on the woman's face, which is why it is also called La Gioconda, for Da Vinci. The Mona Lisa was an ongoing work, a perfect effort. The painting was never handed over to its owner. Da Vinci kept it with him until the end of his life. The Guinness World Records lists the Mona Lisa as the highest insurance value for a painting in history. It was valued at $100 million on December 14, 1962, adjusted for inflation, approximately $759 million USD.